Hello all and welcome to episode 56 of the 3 for 1 Sky Fantasy podcast by Fantasy Football Hub after a fantastic, glorious, crowd-filled and high-scoring opening weekend. My name is Fergi and I'm joined tonight by two of the most successful Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty, who has just realised after 18 months of podcasting that he didn't have his microphone plugged in. Paul, many congratulations on, has been able to hear you first off. Secondly, how was your Sky weekend?
Yeah, thanks very much. You're
so loud.
Yeah, I'm sure I had it sorted, but yeah, okay. If anyone in the comments can't hear me properly or can hear me better, leave a comment, let me know how it gets on. I've had a good weekend. It feels average when you see a lot of teams going out Twitter from experienced managers. It's those price points around the 8 million, your second and third midfielder, and perhaps your third and fourth defender that's made the difference, I think, this weekend, because a lot of people were on the Tony, either Bruno or Salah, and then Antonio today captaincy. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my start though. It's much better than it was last year.
Yes, I remember last year we were like 100 odd K, weren't we? And being sick. As you can see, Dan has aged. No, as you can see, Dan hasn't made it this week, was he? The Cox household hasn't been feeling very well this week, so we have a more than able replacement in Ian Parrin. Ian, how was your opening weekend?
Absolutely amazing.
Was it?
Thank you very much, Andre.
Brilliant.
Absolutely amazing.
What a week to come on.
Yeah, everything's gone the opposite of Pete Tong this week. And it's the team that actually wrote for the members' article that is cutting the mustard.
And people wonder why they should join fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Top 1K.
Let everybody know the secrets, and it's there.
Top 1K already, and absolutely unbelievable. Really, really well played. I'm happy. I think I scored 130 points, which I was quite surprised at, actually. They just kept kind of rolling in. I did have a couple of 50-50. Some went my way and some didn't. I was on Rudiger right until the death, but I changed my mind there. But other than that, absolutely over the moon. For any new watchers and listeners, you are very, very welcome. If you haven't subscribed just yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and set the alerts so you don't miss our live streams, which are 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. It would be absolutely great if you could. If you have any brand new Sky players, we have a how to play Sky Fantasy Guide link in the description below, which you should find very useful. As we are live, please feel free to join in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics throughout the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions throughout. Good evening, everybody. Tom C got 136. Kippy got 126. Stephen C got 110. Norman 124. Bob Genghis Khan is in. Matt Woolley, Norman Conquest, Jim Morris, Sean Thorpe, Michael Chappell, off spin in a hurry, scored 118, let down by Man City. Dan Perry, Owen Johnson, David H, Josh, welcome one and welcome. Absolutely fantastic to have you all with us this evening. So firstly, chaps, the opening weekend, the things that stuck up for me straight away were obviously the crowd seemed to have made a massive difference to the matches, both in terms of the intensity, the excitement, the home wins. I think was it eight home wins. I think there might have been 8.
Brighton and Liverpool, the only teams to win away.
Brighton and
West Ham.
Oh, and West Ham. Sorry, 7. Yeah, but seems to have made a massive difference. A bit of normality, I think, in the results. Apart from maybe Spurs and Man City, you could argue, even though we did say I think last week that Man City just looked off it last week. So in the Community Shield, the promoted teams put up a really good fight. I thought. I know Norwich lost, but I thought they actually played okay, and obviously Watford and Brentford both won. And the offside rule for Bruno's third goal, that'll be a difference this year, I think, with potentially more goals and less clean sheets. That's something that kind of stuck with me there. Ian, what are your kind of opening observations from the Sky Fantasy weekend?
Same as you with the actual matches, Andrew. It looked like the crowds being back had a terrific effect, and not just for the players, but for everybody watching as well.
Amazing.
I mean, it was much better to watch the games even on TV with the crowd atmosphere, wasn't it? It was completely different.
It was.
And with Sky, it was good to see a lot of the highly owned players doing well. It's good to see everybody get off to a good start.
Mental, isn't it? 100 pluses kind of nearly everywhere you look. Awesome.
And the bit with the offsides, it just goes to show that the Europeans had it right all along, didn't they?
They did indeed. And the Brits tried to be a bit too clever, a bit too intricate. And what a season or two we've had with VAR. Paul, anything to add on the weekend's kind of action with Sky?
Sky did the usual Ivan Toney on the Friday night, picking up the man of the match award. Oh, he did play really well. It was more new to the league, but comes with a reputation. Automatic man of the match if your team wins, which was good for all owners. And I guess punished those that skipped.
Indeed.
Other than that, I think, like Ian says, all the highly owned players performed well. I think maybe a few people had went for Ings instead of Antonio for that third striker spot. Yeah. So maybe a few failed Man City captains today on Mahrez and Diaz would have been popular. Surprisingly, Diaz didn't pick up any bonus at all either as well. So I'm lucky for those that kind of made an alternative choice there.
Indeed. I did have a point then, Paul. I did have a point and it's gone. It's gone. It doesn't matter. Good evening, Liam Doran in the chat. I believe Liam might be on holiday, so he's joining us from holiday. Hello there. Hello, Christy, and hello, Ryan. Great to have you all. Some massive scores in the chat. Ryan Fitzsimmons had Canos captain in one of my teams. Great call there, buddy. Yeah, absolutely fantastic call that is. Okay, so let's firstly have a quick look. I've got two ownership slides. We've got the overall ownership and the top 1K ownership. Paul, do you just want to run through the key points on the overall ownership?
Yeah, so on overall ownership, two standouts at the top are the two players you'd expect, I think, Bruno and Salah. A lot of the rest's littered with English players from the Euro squad, which makes me think that there's a few maybe more casual managers. I don't really like that term, but a few new Sky managers playing this season that are picking players with reputation, maybe, as opposed to having a look at the fixtures pre-overhaul, maybe not realising that there's an overhaul and such like as well, because you can see in there we've got Saka, Kane, Maguire, Mason Mount, and Stones as well, which would all be good picks throughout the season, but with a lot of them not having had much training in the start of the season, I don't think many of the engaged managers would have a few of those players. But yeah, Bruno Salah at the top, then Grealish, who I didn't think he would start today, but did. He looked lively, but Tangana had a good game at right back for Spurs. Done a number on him. Shaw, Mount, Alexander-Arnold, Maguire, Diaz. So not a lot of points in that sort of bracket underneath Bruno and Salah in the ownership. In fact, going all the way down to, I know Trent picked up 7 points, and then it's all the way down to Danny Ings and around about 10th with 18%, who's the next person that picked up points other than those top two. So yeah, pretty interesting from the overall ownership. The top 1K ownership, I don't know how much I would look into this at this point. We know that some players at the top, I had a look at the few teams at the top of the overall leaderboard that had open teams, and each of them had used 5 transfers this weekend. So I believe all those players would be catchable by someone that was relatively engaged in Sky. You've got Bruno and Salah again way out the top, 97, 93%. I actually think that the players might have been moved on before midnight last night from those that are in the top 1K onto other players before today's, before even the clock struck for today. Ivan Toney, Alexander-Arnold, Jamie Vardy, 35%. Probably a little bit surprising. I know that he has got pedigree, but he wasn't someone I had seen mentioned a lot in pre-season. And there's talk of a lot of rotation with Leicester as well.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of reverse engineering there, Paul. Yeah. The top 1K ownership is based basically because if your players did well, you're in the top 1K.
Yeah, here's the moment. Yeah, I saw Vardy had 6 shots yesterday. I do wonder if we've overlooked him a little bit.
Again,
I saw match of the day yesterday. Leicester looked quite good, but they were quite fortunate to win. If Traore had his shooting boots on
Yeah, he was the other one who had 6 shots this weekend as well. Vardy and Troy had 6 each. Ian seems to have left us for a second. Just a point, Paul. I think in terms of casual mini leagues, I don't enter many anymore. Many because I'm not allowed, and all the ones I am allowed in, all you lot are in anyway. So there's not much point. But I think the difference this season to last season is you would probably guess, looking at the overall ownership, that the engaged players are probably, you guess, like 60 to 70 odd points clear already in their mini leagues, you would guess, because that's going to make very interesting reading for a lot of early mini leagues.
That's right, yeah.
Ian and Paul have switched sides. I don't know if Ian's got a bit of an internet issue, but that's
I'm
okay.
back now. I think
You're back now, but you're in Paul's seat, but it's all good. Okay, and
I'll take Ian's rank.
Take his rank. You have got his rank now, 820. Yeah. Okay, and finally, a quick look at the important one, the bonus points this weekend, the interesting one.
Yeah, so out in front, got Jorginho and Tielemans, who both maxed out on the passing and tackle bonus.
Wow.
So I know that in Liam's team reveal that he did for the hub site, he had picked up Tielemans and had him in his side. So well done to him. Canos, who was mentioned in the chat there, excellent return on Friday night. He picked up tackles bonus, 7 successful tackles, and picked up tier 1 shots as well, so 5 points for him, along with Sojcek as well. Another player I had not considered at all this season, but again, will churn away, picks up the odd tackling bonus, as well as arriving late on set pieces and for West Ham, so 8.2 million for Sojcek. So Canos on 5, and then Marcus Alonso on 4 bonus points. He picked up tackles and shots bonus, and then a raft of players on 3 points. The kind of standout for me there is the person that's next on the list there is Dennis from Watford. So he was playing in that central striking position for Watford, 5.5 million, tier 2 shots. And if you have a look at Watford's fixtures, post overhaul, the next 4 games until the next kind of break look really, really good. So I can see a lot of people, if he retains his place for the first 3 games, I can see a lot of managers taking a punt on him at his 5.5 million price tag.
5.5.
Yeah, if you stick him in, you can move your funds around the others according to fixtures, can't you?
You can have your Van Dijk and your Diaz on that as well, probably, can't you? Which is a struggle at the moment.
And if you're playing 3, because you'll most likely be playing 3 up front if you pick him. And
then you can move Salah, Kane, Lukaku. Move them all around then, can't you?
And you can move to any other formation from there. If you're moving you don't need to find another 5.5 million striker to replace him with. If you found that he lost his place, that's always a concern of mine, is that price points and locking yourself in. But there's players around that price point elsewhere in other positions. So
there's always one that comes available, isn't there? We always get one.
Moda got the assist, the one I was banging on about in pre-season. He did start a sub, but he came on and got he was on the bench, but he came on and got an assist. What do you think of the live scoring, not only in Sky but in FPL? I tell you what, that for me made a massive difference to my whole fantasy experience of the way kind of over the weekend, because Dream Team reasonably quickly automatically updates. Telegraph changed it I think 2 years ago, so they automatically update. But having Sky and FPL, kind of knowing your rank roughly as the games are going on, that personally, for me anyway, enhanced my experience massively, because normally you don't know how you've done in Sky, do you, against everyone else until like midnight. How did you find it, Paul?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I'm like a pessimist, and I thought that myself at the weekend because someone messaged me and said, "Oh, I didn't realise they were doing live scoring now. This is brilliant." And I was like, yeah, they still can't sort the pictures out. Can you not do the fundamentals? They bring in these cool features, which it is, and as you say, enhances our enjoyment of the game. And then you just go and look at pictures, and like the Corey's still like a Watford player on it. He's like played for Everton for over a year. It's like crazy. but it is good.
Did you enjoy the live stuff, Ian? Well, I bet you did with your ranks.
I did. I like the idea of it. it does mean that Sky, as Paul says, try to do something to boost the way the game works. Yeah. Somebody did ask me on Twitter actually what they thought of it and whether we'll be able to work out who's got who because of the scoring. And I'm fairly sure that, come second overhaul, when it's a little bit tighter and everybody's a bit more dubious about letting on who they've got and who they haven't got, somebody will be able to work it all out and let everybody know, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, indeed. No, I just thought it was really, it was nice we had good weekends anyway, so the ranks were only kind of going up, right? Because I think after, I don't know, the early kickoff, I was like 30k, then I went up to 12k, and then I looked earlier, I was on like 2 or 3k, and say if we remember last year when we were like 100k because we missed both Salah and Vardy, it makes a massive difference, and to have it on FPL as well is huge. It's really good stuff. Okay, let's have a look forward then to game week 2. So Ian, I'll ask you this if that's okay. So on Saturday the 21st, then Liverpool and Burnley. Obviously the first game at 12:30, so we can see the lineups. Villa, Newcastle. Oh, and how good is it to have the 3 p.m. kickoffs yesterday? By the way, to have 5 games on at the same time. I loved it. It was absolutely brilliant.
I'm probably in the minority. I can take it or leave it, to be honest.
Really? Oh, I absolutely loved it. I did. It's absolutely fantastic.
I used to like Soccer Saturday when it first started, but that show is certainly not what it was. Let's put it that way.
No, it's not. But to see Ings, because I thought all the goals had finished as well, and I've got Ings in most formats, and just to see Ings score in the 97th minute when you thought it was all over is something you would never usually see if all the games were on at the same time, because you normally watch the game, wouldn't you, or whatever. But things like that were amazing. And also when you lost the Brighton clean sheet in like the second minute, was it, or the 5th minute?
Very early, wasn't it?
You know that there's another 4 games going on where you can score points. Normally, if you lose the clean sheet and that's it, you're like, oh, that's it. That's that 2 hours gone. But anyway, apologies. Liverpool, Burnley, Villa, Newcastle, Palace, Brentford, Leeds, Everton, Man City, Norwich, Brighton, and Watford. So, Ian, captaincy and any transfer opportunities here?
Captaincy will definitely be Salah, assuming he's starting.
Yep.
Transfer opportunity, only if they've had somebody that's injured. Very rarely make a transfer on a Saturday. Very rarely.
Gundogan went off with his shoulder. Was that right earlier, I think?
Yeah, it was right at the death. Yeah.
It was, yeah. I think Pep said, they're going to kind of have a look at it. But if anyone has got Gundogan in their team, they may just want to have a little look at that.
Okay.
Simon Alp in the chat. Evening, guys. First time I've watched live. As always, listen on a Monday morning during my drive to work. Welcome, Simon. Great to have you live with us. Let us know how many you scored as well. Good evening also to Ben Beecham, Tom Hart, Liam Stevens, and James Hyde says, Troost Ekong is also 5.5 at Watford. They looked very good against Villa. A double up with Dennis would free up a lot of funds at overhaul, wouldn't it? Just blimey. And how good was Sarr as well, mind? He was awesome. I do think his goal was slightly fortunate, but that's not taken away at all.
He played well though, didn't he?
He did. And I think he's going to get. I feel he's going to get a lot of man of the matches because he's that kind of player, and that Zaha-esque sort of player.
Yeah, anybody with Gundogan then, you can do worse than moving to Tielemans next Monday night, can't you?
You can if you don't have him yet. Tielemans, he's good at Sky Tielemans, isn't he? I kind of missed him a bit last year.
So many wasted points.
He has.
So many wasted points.
Yeah, he got 8 points with no goals and no assists, which is pretty insane, really, isn't it? So Salah, is the obvious sort of captain there. Any alternatives at all there? Villa against Newcastle, maybe anyone, if they've got Ings maybe or someone like that, if you're looking to be different.
Do we want to be different week 2?
No, but if anyone else who's listening just doesn't want to go with Salah or doesn't own Salah even, is just
if you don't own Salah, I would break a rule and transfer him in on Saturday morning.
Well, I would as well, but yeah. And Man City and Norwich is obviously the 3:00 game. You don't get to see the lineups, which is obviously always a pain with the Man City stuff. So if you do have Gundogan,
they're going to need to improve, aren't they?
They are going to have to improve. I mean, they should beat
Norwich. Will think it's an easier game.
Well, they might too. You might be right. Sunday then, Ian, we get to see the lineups for 2 games, and very, very importantly, we get to see the lineup for Wolves and Spurs. That's obviously massively important. And And we also get to see the lineups for Southampton and Man United. Then it's Arsenal and Chelsea at 4:30. Captaincy options here.
So captaincy options here, probably Bruno, if you've got him, or there's still something in the back of my mind thinking I might want to do Harry Kane, or maybe even Heung-min Son for Tottenham on Sunday.
Wow, okay.
See how Salah goes, because my move in one of the teams would have to be Salah out, I think. I've got a bit more flexibility in the other team. And then Arsenal v Chelsea. I don't think I'll be captain anybody in there.
No.
I think the safest bet is probably Bruno. But if you think that Chelsea can hold Liverpool at bay a week on Saturday, because that's one we can't see on the slide, but they play Saturday week in the 5:30 kickoff.
Yeah.
So you can get Salah captaincy on Saturday and then move him on to Harry Kane or Heung-min Son on Sunday for a captaincy. And they've also got a possible captaincy the following Sunday as well.
Yeah.
Again, Man United play Wolves the following Sunday. So
a really good shout by Mark Wright. He says Jorginho for Gundo if he is out. That is not a bad shout either. He's mopped it. I think he's going to have a fantastic season, Jorginho. I think you do worse than sticking him in your team at Overhaul, because he's guaranteed the passing every single game, right? And
do you think they're going to play three at the back then, Andrew? Two wing backs, Jorginho and Kovacic, and then Mount, Pulisic or Ziyech or Werner with Lukaku?
I think
Kante will be back.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, so you've got Kante, Jorginho, and Kovacic to try and fit in.
Kovacic
so only going to play two in the middle of the park.
Kovacic wasn't much of a starter last year. It tended to be the other two, but they tended to play five at the back, and they kept switching then, didn't they? But between Reece James and Azpilicueta started the season at right centre back, then he went to right back, and then he ended the season at right centre back. So it just changes. But I think Azpilicueta personally is a much better option when he's at right centre back, because he gets the passing. Then he wasn't getting the passing much when he was out at right back. Just observationally, because I owned him for a lot of it, and you can always tell where he is, whether he's going to get the bonus or not. But
do you think Jorginho's one that might be in people's post-overhaul thoughts then?
I do. He's 100% in mine, and he's on penalties as well, unless Lukaku has them. But he's on pens as well.
I'm just thinking, if we've got Bruno, who's almost certainly a stand-in, and you're going to want three strikers, unless we can fiddle it around with Dennis from Watford.
Yeah.
But then you're still going to try and get Salah, Kane, Lukaku, plus anybody else. There's a lot of rotation there, so a lot of transfers to get through.
No.
Be interested.
Yeah.
Be interested.
And your captaincy if it's not one of those teams as well.
Oh, that was a good shout. But there's always, there's never massive options in midfield either, is there? There's never, loads and loads of options.
No, you'll only want three maximum. Yeah. You can guarantee that.
No, I personally.
Sky's better than other formats for midfield options, not at the premium range, but because of the tackling bonus and passing bonus. So.
Tielemans and Jorginho and Højbjerg and all this, all these sorts, you may as well just kind of pack your midfield up there with Bruno in it. But no, you are right here. In terms of the formations and stuff, it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, we've only got a game's worth of data, right? But Jorginho finished the season absolutely on fire, nailed in that team on penalties, passing bonus as a minimum, every single week. And if he can get the tackles as well, he looks, because he's 8.3 as well, so he's actually cheaper than Tielemans, playing in a better team as well. And I think he's a really good option.
Yes, fair point.
Just in case this goes under the radar, Romeo picked up bonus at the weekend as well.
Well done, Romeo. Monday the 23rd, then we have West Ham and Leicester. Could be quite a hard one, actually. Obviously, Antonio really on form, but lots with Leicester assets. It should be a cracking game. Yeah. Who's your favourite for captain there, Ian?
Current form, Antonio, isn't it? Home match. Even at West Ham, I fancy them at home. West Ham.
Even West Ham. Okay.
Yeah, they're normally one of the worst for home records, aren't they? Certainly lately. Anything
to add over the weekend at all, Paul?
One observation as as opposed to a captaincy pick. But I wouldn't be too. I've got double Brighton defence. I've got Webster and Dunk. And although the weekend there was disappointing, Webster finished on 50 passes and 3 tackles, so just short of bonus on both fronts. One observation was Villa were really bad. Villa defenders were really bad for bonus last year. Matty Cash picked up tackle bonus quite a lot, but the centre halves very seldom picked up passes. But they both picked up tier 1 passes against Watford at the weekend there. So Brighton at home to Watford this weekend makes me more comfortable that owning Dunk and Webster. Yeah. So I wouldn't be getting itchy fingers to kind of make transfers on it.
Okay.
Well, last year they'd have got a clean sheet as well, wouldn't they? Because that Tarkowski goal would have been disallowed.
Yeah.
Some shouts in the chat. Dan Perry says Pogba for Gundogan. Pogba, obviously, we haven't mentioned it yet. 4 assists. He was, and he should have scored as well. If he hadn't tried to do that stupid step over when he was 1-on-1, he would have probably scored as well. He looked incredibly dangerous.
Is he playing for a move?
Is he playing for a move? Well, yeah, exactly. Thoughts on Pogba? As an option, he used to be a bit of a superstar in Sky years ago because he used to get the bonus as well, didn't he? He used to get all the passing bonus as well, didn't he? But Paul, does he interest you at all?
I just don't like having 2 big hitters from the same team.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I've never been a Salah and Mane picker.
Yeah.
For that reason, I wouldn't. But I wouldn't steer anyone away from him. It's just my own preference.
No, that's fair enough. Michael McAteer never played Sky, got 137 points this week, top 1,000. Oh. Get in there, Stiggy. Great score. Not Stiggy, sorry, Michael. And Tom Hartnell says he thinks he'd rather have Rudiger over Lukaku. Norman says Pogba would be given a free role. We're getting into the French one, it's not the old Man United one. Yeah, no, that's it's perfectly reasonable. But as we say, having 2 premiums from the same team does kind of it does limit those.
Gets in the way of the captaincy, doesn't it? If nothing else.
Man United's got incredible fixtures as well.
They have, yeah.
It's like an England qualifying group for a major tournament. It's just a sea of green fixtures.
Has Scotland in it then, Paul?
Well, we're the only team that didn't score a goal against in the summer. So,
don't leave now. Don't leave wherever you do. Stephen C 1984. Is it worth transferring out Salah or waiting until the overhaul? He may score against Chelsea, and I'll captain Bruno Sunday anyway. Well, it's up to you. I think for those of us who are new to this podcast, and it does sound incredibly boring, right? But this is the way to success, as Ian will tell you last season. We always encourage people to hold your transfers back at this time of the season because there's a lot of the time if you have the captains, you should have your team planned out until the overhaul anyway. You should have a really good team, especially after the weekend, right? So because lots and lots of us have scored really, really well. You should have all the captaincies covered, or the vast majority anyway. And our advice is always to hold back your transfers unless you really, really need to use them, because the last thing you want to do, you take out Salah. I think Salah to Kane is reasonable. If Kane starts, especially if he's playing for Man City kind of week after potentially. But then what you don't want to be doing is kind of losing points and losing a transfer ahead of everyone else, because you're guaranteed that all the good players come New Year will all have 25 plus transfers left, and even though you may be in front by a few points, they will slowly claw you back and take over, as Ian did in April and May last season. Just kept hanging on.
Same every year, isn't it?
Same every year. So if you are new, that is something we always encourage. Ryan, he's all in on Duncan Webster. Woody asks, would Dallas keep Firpo out of the team? So no, I think Firpo was actually injured. He was injured, wasn't he? Which is maybe why he didn't start. And Dallas, he's not a left back.
I think Firpo will come in at left back when Dallas will move back into midfield.
Dallas is not a left back, is he? No. So he was.
He just fills in there.
Yes, exactly. Joseph Robbins said, only been doing this game a couple of years, but got instantly addicted. A lot of mental torment involved in all decision making when choosing players. Welcome to fantasy football, Joseph. This is This is what it's all about. It's very, very tough. And Michael just asked, when are the overhauls? First one is after game week 3, and the second one is usually kind of the middle of February, though I don't think we've had that date confirmed yet, have we? So
it will probably be where they've got that, not an international break for Europe, but an international break for everybody else, which I think is after the FA Cup 4th round.
Okay. Excuse me. Just for those who are new in the chat, 'cause, it looks like we've got a fair few new players. Welcome, firstly. Absolutely brilliant to have you with us. If you click on the link below, there is a how to play Sky Fantasy Football, and leading on from that, there's a how to win at Sky Fantasy Football. So really massive, detailed articles and guides on how to do well at the Sky game, written by former champions. So have a look at that. You will not go wrong, we promise you, and you will win your mini leagues. Okay, anything else on next weekend? Chaps, looks fairly easy to kind of navigate. I suppose. Nope.
Yeah, I think we should be all planned, as you say, Andrew.
Yeah, it looks fairly well all the way to overhaul. Really looks fairly fairly easy. It's going to be interesting. That overhaul special we do will be the one, right? That's going to be the one where you have that real mix of long term and shorter term planning. That's going to be so interesting.
We'll have some fixtures to battle through as well there as well.
We will have some fixtures, and if I can't remember just top of my head. You said earlier, Paul, about Watford. Watford have got nice fixtures. Did Watford have any captaincy days? I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't think. But if they did,
I think so.
I don't think so. Okay.
There's a Leeds, Newcastle.
Arsenal have got 2.
Oh, God, did you pick from them?
And Everton at home.
Yeah, Leeds, Liverpool, Everton, Burnley, Tottenham. Oh no, that's a Palace, Brighton.
That's kind of it for the first.
Palace, Arsenal, and Arsenal, Villa.
Okay. Simon Alp just asked, do we think Kane will play all the games if he moves to Man City? I personally think he will. I think he'll be the new Aguero. So, when Aguero was fit, basically, he played 90% of the games, and they need him. They can't afford to mess around, right? They're already 3 points down on Chelsea and Liverpool and Leicester. And
they did that last year, though, didn't they?
They did.
Still won at a canter.
They did. But they did go on kind of record-breaking runs and things. But I think that Kane is going to play, right? I think he'll. You're not going to play, 150 million or whatever they're going to pay for someone just to put him on the bench, So that's my personal thing. Okay, let's have a look at some questions we've had. FPL Off Spinner asks, ditching Pepe straight away given Arsenal's woeful performance. I think Pepe did have 4 shots. I think he was okay. Arsenal actually had 22 shots, which was the joint most on the weekend. Incredible, really, since they were one of the only ones who didn't score. He said
they're a strange side, aren't they, Arsenal?
They are a strange side. Do we see
last 100 years they've been good 4 times under 4 different managers: Herbert Chapman, Bertie Mee, Arsene Wenger, and a Scottish guy whose name escapes me. At the end of the 80s and early 90s, also managed Tottenham.
Graham, was it?
Yeah, George Graham. That's it. Yeah, so
the best
in 100 years they've had like 4 decent sides.
I found the best insult for a friend of mine the other day who I think once was great at fantasy football and no longer is, or his tactics are outdated. So I referred to him as Wenger, which he didn't take to.
Very good. So FPL Off Spinner wants to get rid of Pepe straight away. He said, do we see Rafinha as his best replacement? So for me, if you're looking to get rid of a player, I would probably look at, if firstly, have you got any captaincies, or can you get the extra game out of someone? I'm not sure when are Arsenal and Chelsea playing. Are they playing on Sunday? Are they?
Yeah, should have done it this week.
You could move him on Tielemans. You could play him on Sunday against Chelsea and then move him
on to Tielemans
or Southgate
or Ben Rama. Ben Rama.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I try and get the extra game out of him, basically. So yeah, you shouldn't do it this weekend actually, because you could have had a couple of extra games. But yeah, if you play them, if all your captaincies are covered, let them play out on the Sunday and then move them on the Monday night for either a West Ham or Leicester players you mentioned, Southgate, Ben Rama, Antonio, Tielemans, Pereira, Soyuncu, any of these kind of players will have a couple of games.
All good options.
Yeah. Mike Chappell, what do we do about Lukaku? Sit and wait until after the overhaul. So Chelsea's fixtures, they got Arsenal, Liverpool, both away, which are obviously not the best. I'd personally say wait.
You don't see whether he's playing either.
No, and that's a good point as well. You'd guess he would play, but it is a good point. I'd say wait. Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a wait for me. A bit like the chap in the chat, was it Tom? At the minute, I'd rather have a Chelsea defender.
Yeah. And Paul, are you going to kind of dash in on Lukaku, or are you going to wait until the overhaul?
I wouldn't see when you would captain him either out of the two games, because you're probably going to captain Bruno, or if you do the Salah to Kane move, if he's still at Spurs and starts on Sunday, and then the following week, would you be captain him against Liverpool?
Yeah,
probably not.
No, I don't think. I completely agree. And chat, Ian, this is one of your tips, which I always follow in every format as well. Is pick defenders from good defensive teams and pick attackers from good attacking teams. Not that we're saying that Chelsea won't be a good attacking team, because actually it transpired the second half. I think the second half of the season they had the second most expected goals out of the whole league. They just couldn't finish them because they had Werner and everyone else kind of on the end of them. So I'm sure Lukaku will get goals, but I think with the fixtures and even immediately after the overhaul, they've got Villa, Spurs, and Man City. But after that, they go on a fantastic run of games. So I'm sure we'll get all the fixtures, the captaincy requirements and things. But at the moment, it's a wait and see. Dan Bright says, with Mark Guay, excuse my pronunciation, Guehi getting tier 1 and almost tier 2 passing away to Chelsea, do we consider Palace centre-backs once their fixture change, game week 6 to 11, assuming the Vieira way will lead to plenty of bonus points? Paul, you're the bonus man. What do you think of Mart? I can't say it again. The Palace centre-back.
He's too expensive for me. I think if I was looking at, I didn't know what price he was, and I went and had a look prior to the pod, and I was expecting it to be around about the 6 million mark, which is a price point that I would consider a budget enabler.
Yeah,
but it was 7.2, which
wow.
I felt was a bit expensive for a team that aren't defensively sound. You got Mitchell at 7 million. Obviously, there's not much of a saving, but we know he did well in tackles last season as well.
No, agree. Dan at Kerwin D asks, since there's no Dan's rant this evening, I reckon Fergie's just trying to eat a bag of Whatsits to fill the airtime. Are we talking about the Whatsits that I can't stand the dust on my fingers? Don't know, you guys. Do you what cheesy Whatsits with all that horrible orange? Oh my goodness, it makes me heave. There's a scene on Toy Story 2. I don't know if you guys remember it, where Woody's walking through like a bag of Cheetos.
Cheers.
And the dust is everywhere, and I have to leave the room. It makes me absolutely heave. Anyway,
there was a point in time where they were big in the UK as well, wasn't there? Like it had is it like a tag? Well, no, it's a Cheetah, isn't it? Like Cheetos.
Yeah.
Like they were. I wouldn't say they were big, but I remember they were advertised for 4 or 5 years.
They were. I think we're back to Whatsits now. I do enjoy Whatsits, but I've got to tip the bag or tip the bowl. I can't touch them. Anyway, Brit in NY says, with playing at home now seeming to be an advantage again, should this begin to influence your captain choices again? Good question. Ian, what do you think about this? Yeah,
that is a good question. It could well do. Obviously, you're going to be who the player is and who the fixture is. But if you've got two tied and you can't decide, then maybe you do go with the home one.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. If you've got like a 50-50, so that the chap earlier, in the who's playing fantasy, for the first or second time, and these 50-50 decisions are killing you, kind of sort of thing. Maybe having home advantage could be one of the factors you consider. So it almost kind of takes it out of your hands a little bit. So if you're just so tied on what to do, whoever's playing at home could be the deciding factor. Yeah. Certainly agree there. Just catch up. In the chat, Richie Play says, Tierney, only Arsenal player after overhaul for captain. I was burnt by Tierney last season when he didn't turn up. He is injury prone, but
Yeah,
I thought
it's
he
a
was
Monday followed by a Friday, isn't it? I think it's in September or October.
Yeah,
So you can bring one in, play him for 2 games, then move him on again. That is a definite 2 for naught.
it is, and he was. He was. I thought he was. Excuse me. I thought he was excellent on Friday. He looked so dangerous. Tierney. He's always been like that, haven't he? And I think sometimes he gets passing when when Arsenal are playing okay. No, I think that's a really good shout. Paul, you got a bit of love for your fellow Scot?
I'm not convinced by any of them, to be honest. So we'll wait and see who's nailed down at centre half at the time, and if they're picking up like semi-regular passing bonus, like Holden did last year, and he turned out to be the pick for the double header of Arsenal single captaincy days.
Could be Ben White this time, Paul.
Yeah, Ben White or Mari, or was it Gabriel might come back in for Mari? Yeah. But Ben White's price, I think he's at a reasonable price. Ben
White had a baptism of fire on the weekend, didn't he? Blimey! And now he's got to face potentially Lukaku next week. Have you seen? There's a meme going around on Twitter and Facebook of just massive guy just basically ragging someone around like a rag doll. They reckon that's going to be Lukaku against Ben White.
It might be Kane in Gameweek 3 for Man City.
Exactly, Lukaku and Kane. Good. Liam says, "Welcome Ben Beecham, new hub member. Welcome Liam, and welcome Ben. Great to have you on board as a hub member. Hopefully, all the pre-season content has got you off to a flyer, like many people who are here." In the chat, Ollie Poole says, "Never trust Arsenal. Remember Lacazette last season. I've got the scars, mate. I've got the scars from last season."
Holding was all right though.
But he didn't have Holding, so that's why I got the scars. Monty says, "Bullsack." Thank you, Monty, for your for that insight. And Tom Hartnell, says, "Looking forward to Ben White versus Lukaku next season." Okay, so who is the must-have player for game week 2? That's FPL now then, young man. I'm hoping that's a Sky question. It sounds a bit FPL-y to me, but anyone?
Does he mean a must-have player that he's not already got?
Well, this is it. Is we should have really planned it out to the. Until the overhaul, but if there is a must-have player for game week 2, Salah home to Burnley is probably as good a player to have as anyone.
Or if you want to bring somebody in, it's going to be Son or Kane on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Antonio if you don't already want to.
Or Antonio on the Monday. That's a good shout. Kino82 asks, what players go on the watch list for the overhaul? That's
quite a few.
Was that sorry, Ian?
It's quite a few, but we've only seen one game.
Yeah,
you've got two more games before you need to start making any decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep your watch list going and then refine it at the end of game week 3.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned the Palace defenders earlier on, and the team that I've been looking at was their passing stats were up. They didn't pick up bonus at the weekend. But Wolves have an amazing fixture run after the overhaul. So Hoiver played at the weekend, he's 6 million. Kilman played, he's 6.2 million.
Yeah.
Marcel played, he's 6.4 million. So there's a fair few options in Wolves there, and I'd like to keep an eye out on their passing stats over the next couple of games as well. So they might become a gem, a £6 million enabler in defence for a team that has a good run of fixtures as well.
And I thought the most attractive of the Brentford players was not Tony. I thought it was Mbeumo, and he's only 7.2. They've got reasonable fixtures as well. So if he keeps it up in the next 2 games, then he could make your way into a side cheap price.
Could, yeah. I think what we do at the overhaul, we'll have 3 game weeks worth of data, right? We can see the kind of teams and players that are regularly getting bonus and things. I think the way the game has started off this week is pretty much, it couldn't have got any better for lots of us, right? I think there were barely any blanks in any teams really. Martinez maybe, and only
Webster.
I had Buendia who blanked. I thought he played all right actually, but he didn't he didn't get any bonus or anything, but I think he was all right. But
yeah, Harvey Barnes was getting a bit of traction as well, certainly in my WhatsApp group.
He was, but he's not very good on bonus, so you'd always rely on attacking returns.
Yeah, if you're going to go for one of those, you really want to be Tielemans or Ndidi, I think, don't you?
I think so, personally, yeah. Okay, FPL Sky Addicts won't watch live. What? How much relevance is top 1K ownership earlier on, considering will be people burning transfers and freak player scores like Pogba? I assume we take top 1K ownership with a pinch of salt. So top.
I had a look at the third place team this morning, Andrew.
Yeah,
and it was a good side, but he'd actually got no captain for today.
Oh, right. I did see this morning you posted it on Twitter.
Yeah, he'd got Ivan Toney, who he'd captained on Friday, and he also had Saka in his side.
Yeah.
So just with a bit of forethought, he could have moved Saka out for anybody that was playing sort of Højbjerg or that kind of level today. Yeah. And he could have easily been top today.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
What I found interesting is the team on the leaderboard overall in third has used 6 transfers. So it looks like they might have reduced taken off the 5 transfers per game week.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
But yeah, so they're in the top 4, there's 3 open teams, and those teams have used 5 transfers, 6 transfers, and 5 transfers.
Yeah.
Respectively.
You probably ignore it. I mean,
you don't need to worry about where you are till probably Christmas-ish.
Yeah. If you think like last year, just for example, we were like 100k after a game week or two, and we went into Christmas in the top 150 or 200. So it means nothing. I think the advice from me, I'm showing you gents are kind of on the same sort of route here, is just play it sensibly for the next few months. Only make transfers when you really need to. Go for a mixture of bonus players and captains, and kind of ignore the rank. It's something I've done for years. In terms of. I'm reasonably disciplined, but my letdown, or the things which let me down, is when I do look at my ranks and I see other players have got, or other managers 100 points ahead of me or whatever. But it just doesn't matter. What matters is where you are on like May the 23rd or May the 22nd. That's the only thing that matters. And Ian in particular, is he's an absolute kind of genius at these late swoops, aren't you, Ian? And
that's just the way I play the game, Andrew.
Yeah.
Keep the transfers in hand, and you can move faster forwards than those that are coming back towards you.
You can indeed. Tom Hartnell says, I think from memory, Kilman made about 50 passes versus Leicester. Be interesting. Yeah, so we made 52. And Fire and Blood asks, is Tanganga an option after overhaul? We'll probably have to see.
6.6, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, we probably have to see the stats. I'm surprised he started ahead of Doherty, but I'm not sure what's happening there. Paul loves Doherty, doesn't he? No. Ben scored 142 points, top 1,000. Happy with that. Well done, Ben. Okay, and next question: if you are top 1K with a regular team, as in no Brentford on day one and Max S day after, in a great position. He's answering the one above. Fancy football face-off pod. So I think this is Tom Glover. If you don't follow these guys, make sure you do. They are very, very funny. They're really good. I heard Dan Cox is in Florida and refusing to train. No, he isn't. He's him and his family haven't been feeling the best the last week or so. That's why Dan couldn't make it. Even though he did message a bit earlier on and said, "Oh, I might be all right to come on now." But I'd already sorted out all the graphics and and everything else as well. So, but I'm sure he will be back next week, ranting away that we didn't let him on last minute this week. I'm surprised he's not in the chat. Actually, if you are there, Dan, give us a wave. You have no excuse not to be in the chat.
Just posted something on Twitter, so he is active.
He is active. He's a swine, isn't he? He's a swine. And we've answered the question about the live updates. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the top of the Hub £500 league, and this is great now because it actually it's always up to date live, right? So we know these scores are reasonably right. So in 10th place, Kevin McQuinn on 141 points. 9th place, Elsie Bishop. 8th, Gareth Burns. 7th, John Thompson. 6th, Brian Clark. 5th, Cal Gregory, who is always up there. Cal, I see that name everywhere I go. 4th, Chris Stone. 3rd, Andrew Whitley. 2nd, Martin Kelly. And top, John Kerr, whose team is open, actually, with a high score of 150 points. Fantastic
Wow.
Start. And Tom Zaraski, how do I check my Sky rank? Tom, go into the Sky app and click on my team, and it'll be up the top there. So that is the top of the Hub £500 Sky League. And moving on to the Four Nations League, of which Ian is a member. Paul hasn't. Well, he entered last minute, Paul, so his scores aren't on this graphic we've got. But 8th place is Liam, so his second team is on 98. He must have gone for a couple of differentials there, Liam. 7th place is Ian's second team on 109. Liam's first team 109. My second team 117. Then Paul's teams are sandwiched here. Is it 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 9, Paul? Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
So your teams are 5th and 6th. My first team then is on 130. Dan's teams are on 131 and 136. And Ian Parrin, 61st last year, joins in the Four Nations League and puts England at the top after game week 1. Well done there, Ian. Wonderful, wonderful stuff there from you, buddy.
Fergie, for those that like the viewers won't be able to see this, but you sent through the slides before we come on air, and you've got a section on the left where I assume like comments, like people that use PowerPoint use the comments section on the left hand side that the viewers can't see when you animate it out. What I found very interesting is you've obviously got the England flag under the league table, and you've got an Ireland flag and a Scotland flag down the left-hand side, but you've not even bothered mocking up a Wales one to use, showing how much you believe in yourself, yeah?
It's because I've got it saved somewhere else as a full page. So when I eventually hit the top, we won't do a podcast. We'll just go live with a big Wales flag for like an hour. That'll do. That'll do, Pig. Tom says, thanks, not the best rank, 27.5k. Tom, that is absolutely fine because there is about, well, I'm not sure how many, but there's normally about 400,000 teams. So if you're at 27.5k, you're roughly in the top, what's that, maybe 5% of all teams, Tom. So you're absolutely fine. Just a couple of quick questions before we go. Joseph Robinson, if you transferred someone as a free Friday afternoon, it comes, I think he's answering a question after. Actually, apologies there. I think there's a few glitches and bugs in the game one there. I think a few showed on Friday and Saturday in teams that they made transfers when they haven't, and all this kind of sort of stuff. So yeah, just ignore them.
That's probably why somebody's ended up with 6 transfers showing them for this week.
It's probably a glitch. I think you're right. Final order of business for the evening. We did a free mug contest last weekend. Ian, you've got your mug there, haven't you? Can you show us your mug? Thank you so much. We did a competition for who could guess Lukaku's price, and he came in at quite a surprising, well, I think it is anyway, it's quite cheap, 11.3 million. And we had a couple of winners, but the random winner was Stephen Coulthart, who guessed Lukaku, 11.3 million. Many congratulations, Stephen. Drop me a DM and I will sort you out with one of our fantastic Fantasy Football Hub mugs. If you want a mug or a flask or a t-shirt or any of our Hub merch, you can go to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, click on merch. I think it's under other or something along those lines, and there's all stuff there. Tom Zaraski just asked quickly, my first year on Sky, what's considered an elite finish? An elite finish, I think the kind of finish what we all aim for is a top 100 finish is what we aim for, but it is hard to achieve. If you consider that our stream every week gets about 2,500 or 3,000 views and listens, getting alone, and that's not including Planet FPLs and kind of the others as well. A top 100 is very, very hard to achieve. If you can get a top 1,000 in your first season, Tom, that would be
good going.
a hell of a finish in your first ever season while you get kind of used to how the game works. So that is it from us. Quite a short one this week, gents. I suppose it's because we haven't got Dan sounding off and ranting, but also a pretty straightforward week to kind of navigate it. Only obviously one game's worth of data to talk about, but thank you so much to everyone in the chat for joining us, supporting us, and interacting with us on this live stream. It's much appreciated every single week. You guys are absolutely great. We love having you on with us every week. Thank you so much. Benny Blanco in the chat. He's always had a way with words, and he says, "Don't spunk all your transfers with 10 game weeks left." Thank you much for that, Benny. Ian, where can people find you? He's frozen. He's frozen. I'll tell you where we can find Ian. It's at Planet Sky on Twitter, and he's also got the if you are a hub member and you don't have Ian's transfer planner, you are missing out. And you are missing out if you're not a hub member. Make sure you sign up and get a transfer planner, because it is an absolute game changer if you don't have it. Paul, where can people find you?
Twitter at Paul McAnulty 1, MCANULTY.
Fantastic. And my Twitter handle is at FFH_Fergi. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and Telegraph YouTube channel, and also available in all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, please click like. It'd be really appreciate everyone watches. Press like if you do enjoy it. And remember to subscribe in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave a comment. So if you do listen on Apple Podcasts, please leave a comment, leave us 5 stars. It's all much appreciated. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Sky. So please follow and feel free to ask any questions. Ian, you're back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry, buddy. We're just wrapping up. Do you just want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at PlanItSky, and then you'll also see that I do the Sky planners. So anybody that's new in the chat, grab yourself a copy of the planner. Everybody, without trying to blow me on trumpet too much, uses it, and most people say it's worthwhile. And you'll also see, if you play the Telegraph and the Sun Dream Team games, I've got planners for those on the Hub as well.
They're absolutely fantastic. And speaking of the Hub, our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for Sky Fantasy Football, Telegraph Fantasy Football, Fantasy Premier League, Dream Team, Fan Team, anything you could ever wish for fantasy football wise, all under one roof, including all our tools, articles, planners, and everything else. If you aren't signed up to the Hub, I mean, why not, right? You're absolutely mad if you're not signed up to the Hub. We'll be back at 9 p.m. next Sunday evening, hopefully with a recovered Dan. Stay safe and good night all.